Welcome to this session on micro enterprise. So I hear there's some micro enterprise vendors in the room, which is pretty awesome. So my name is Shannon Webb, and I am joined virtually with Jason here. Jason, you want to say hi? Jason Enders?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Endres, and I do apologize for not being there at the SD conference, but been having some health issues, so this is the best way for me to do it right now.
Yeah, I'm glad we could bring him in virtually. We have a wonderful tech person here from DHS who helped us figure that out. So over the course of the next hour and 15 minutes, we're going to talk about self-employment. I myself am a self-employed person, and I know there are some of you in this room too. So, and Jason as well. So we can share our wisdom with you about, starting your own business. I started working on self-employment with people with disabilities back in about 2003 is when I started doing that work, and I've supported a number of people to start their own business. One quick thing I want to pause because I just remembered. Does anyone need Spanish interpretation in the room? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I think there we go. So who is currently self-employed? Raise your hand. Who has a micro business? Right? Raise it as high as you can so people can see. Okay. What businesses do you have? Yeah. Oh,
French.
okay.
So
And what do you make?
I make a lot of fiber arts, like, crocheted and knitted things. I
Fiber
also do
arts?
Wood arts and also both acrylic and watercolor paintings,
Okay. Wonderful.
and also do like crocheted stuff. Pretty much just about anything.
All right. Wonderful. And someone over here, yeah, in pink.
I do diamond art and acrylic painting.
Diamond art and what kind of paintings?
Acrylic painting.
Acrylic paintings. Wonderful. In the yellow. Wonderful.
Mostly we do street performances and bus.
Okay, wonderful. And where are you located? Madison. Okay, awesome. Back here in the green.
Done painting.
Okay, fabulous. Fabulous. Felicia.
A lot.
Mhm.
Community club focus things that I do, so I got a lot on my plate, so I don't have a table, but I'm here as an advocate, so.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hannah, it's Hannah, right?
So I recently opened my new business and it's a creative arts business.
Creative arts business. What do you do with your creative arts business?
So so I make a variety of crafts. I make handmade bracelets.
Mhm.
I make baby hats.
Nice. Okay, awesome.
So I had just opened my new business over the summer. And that's why I'm here.
Wonderful. Awesome. So I hope that if you have any questions, we'll answer those as we move along. Yeah.
I work in two-stroke and four-stroke engines and trimmers, orders.
Okay, so you do small engine repair. Awesome. Very good. Anyone else self-employed? Yes.
So, I work with disabilities as a social club.
Okay, social club for people with disabilities. Wonderful. Tyler. Yeah. Awesome. It is. It's working out well. Good. Yeah, I had worked with Tyler and his family a few years back, so wonderful to see you. All right. So, how many of you are thinking about self-employment? Yeah, what's your business idea?
Like a 3D printing, fully 3D printing.
3D printing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we have some that are there, but that's just part of their business, but I wanna make it my whole.
Question.
Okay.
I would do whatever I can do to make it work.
Excellent. Excellent. Who else is
I
thinking
need to
about?
get a 3D printer first.
Yeah, right. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't read. Is it
Desi.
Desi? Thank you.
Like, bladder paint a lot.
Okay.
And, like, art and stuff.
So you're thinking about growing that business?
Yeah.
Who else is thinking about self-employment? Do I see some other hands? Yeah, in the blue. You want to make clothes? All right. And then over here? Yeah. Video game business? Okay. Yes.
So like. Able to have here, I started it for the conference, but I'd like to continue.
Growing it.
With doing like web design.
Oh,
and stuff
okay.
Like that.
More
so,
artistic type stuff?
Right.
Mhm. Wonderful. Yes.
I would love to do custom trading cards.
Custom trading cards. I'm writing all of these down because we're going to have an exercise at the end. Okay. Trading cards.
Like to, make my own plays.
Make your own. Say that again. Planes? Planes is in flying planes? Oh.
Plays,
Play.
Like fine arts.
Plays. Okay.
like,
Yeah.
like it's a retro,
So you want to be a playwright?
oh,
Okay. I'm sorry.
where I keep that, they play and direct.
Okay. Yeah. So you could director, play director, play.
That, comment.
Yeah. Felicia.
But I-
Okay. Wonderful.
For me, being who I am, pouring back into the community, bringing them here, because a lot of people never been to the conference before. So having a busload of people, getting people together for change and putting that back into the community so it can make it grow. You never know, we might be the one that I'll pack this whole resort.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you want to grow your business, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone over here have a business idea? All right. Well, what I'm hoping to do is at the end, after you have a chance to learn a little bit more about self-employment and whatnot, is that at your tables, if you have a business idea or you come up with a business idea, that you would, talk about how to plan that a little bit more, okay, after you learn some steps in the planning process. And then, Jason, what is your business? What business do you own and operate right now?
My wife Julie and I have created J&J Handmade Crafts. And I hope most of you have gone by our table. Julie's there selling our goods, but I wanted to show you that this is part of the process of making string art. I've already cut the wood, sanded the wood, and stained the wood. And Julie goes back and drills the hole, and then I put the nails in the holes. And at the end, this is a Milwaukee Brewer, the helmet.
All right, and we'll learn more about Jason's journey with self-employment and his wife, when we get into the session some more. So thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about what self-employment is, right? And some of this is basic, right? So some of you know this, especially if you're self-employed. But it means, selling a product or a service. So businesses are either product businesses where they have a tangible, like a real item to sell, like it sounds like many of you do. Or they're service-based businesses where you may be working on small engines for people and fixing something, or doing stand-up comedy, right? Or driving people around. Those are service type of businesses. So there's those two types of businesses. And, some businesses will do both, right? They have a service and they sell a product. So we can, that is part of it as well. Being self-employed means having a profit motive. We're going to talk a little bit more about what the difference between a hobby is and a business. But people who are self-employed want to make money with what they're doing, not just break even, right? They don't want to lose money. They don't want to just break even. They actually want to make some money off of it and put money in their pocket to spend and perhaps live on. It means owning an actual business that has a legal structure. So a sole proprietorship, a general partnership, limited liability company. Those are the types of small, kind of micro enterprise business entities that are out there. Okay. So it means creating a legal structure around your business and having a separate bank account for your business so that it becomes its own thing. Being self-employed can be working part-time or full-time. So self-employment doesn't mean that you have to grind it out 40 hours a week or more. Sometimes we hear about this, what's called an entrepreneurial stereotype. That's a big, long word to describe someone who's, kind of creative and starts business ventures and things like that. And there's been this entrepreneurial stereotype that people who are self-employed have to be working 80 hours a week and they have to, take a lot of risk and those kinds of things. That's not true. People who are self-employed can do it really part-time as it suits their lifestyle and their ability. So it doesn't have to be something that's full-time work. And sometimes self-employment is referred to as micro enterprise, and that just means it's the smallest form of business. So some people, again, especially if they work very part-time, have what's called a micro enterprise. So that word is sometimes used to describe, really small businesses. There's a lot of different reasons why people with disabilities, or people in general, but also people with disabilities, choose self-employment, and why sometimes it makes sense for people. It allows people to have more choice and control in their life. So they can choose more when they work, how they work, who they work with, what they do, the tasks that they're good at, and they can develop a business around that. It, means having that independence and creative freedom. I hear there's a lot of you that are artists, and that's a very common form of self-employment, is when people have, creativity, right? And they want to share that gift with the world and make some money on it. It also may be more independence. So sometimes people, when it comes to regular jobs, getting a job working for someone else, might need a job coach to do some of the things that they would do for an employer. And maybe they don't want a job coach, right? Or they want to be supported more by family and friends. So they'll choose, self-employment. Or they, maybe when, repairing small engines, maybe you're, completely independent in doing that. So that's what you want to do, for work, right? Because you do it well and you know it well, and you don't need a job coach to do it. Again, natural skills and talents. A lot of times people develop their businesses around their creative skills or what they're really great at. So that could be anything from repairing computers to doing stand-up comedy, you name it, right? Inclusion and connections. Sometimes working at a job can feel isolating to people, right? Just because you're working for an employer doesn't always mean that you're interacting with a lot of people or you feel like you're really included in that workplace. So I know a lot of people who have chosen to be self-employed because it gives them more opportunities to be part of their community. Yeah.
Can you do both?
You can do both self-employment and what one we could call wage employment or get a job. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there are lots of people, and especially as you start a business, it may make sense to keep your day job, right? Says the stand-up comic, right? You may need to, make some money to live on, or maybe make some money to put towards your business and grow it, at first. So if you're looking to save that 3D printer or, that kind of thing, there are ways that you could work and set aside the money for your self-employment goal. We can talk about that too.
So also grants available for that or no?
You know,
have to do a lot.
we'll talk about some resources, okay? Lots of questions. Hold on, I'll come back to you because I think he raised his hand next. Yeah. Mhm.
Like that. I don't know if you're over it yet today, but I was just wondering on the, like the legal part of it, how much of a process and, cause I work for East Harbor, and so I have to play one on my own and do a little bit. But
Mhm.
it's not an actual official business, so I'm.
Yeah.
The legal part of it and how hard it is, cause I've heard from other people that it's very tricky and for a lot to do to get into that sauce, so.
It's not that tricky, but there are some things that you're going to need to learn. So let's talk about the business planning process. But filing for an LLC is not that hard. You do it online. I think the initial application, I want to say, don't quote me, might be around $100, and then it's just $25 a year, $26 a year after that to keep it up. But there's more to it than just, pressing a button online and creating your business name, right? So, the journey to self-employment, and you'll probably hear this from Jason, it's a lot of learning along the way, but there are resources and people who can help you. Okay, so I'll cover some of that. Yeah.
See, for me, can I do a lot of like my stuff with like donation based for like, as far as gathering product,
Like people donate to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, people could donate things to you. I know people who take fabric donations or whatever it may be, and then they make things and turn it around. You just don't have the expenses there, which is fine. So yeah, absolutely. One more question, then we'll jump back, but hold your questions or write them down too. Yeah.
Not really a question, more of a comment.
Okay.
I know that throughout history, a lot of actually top like multi-millionaires, they start off as small businesses and they have to work a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Before, and then it takes off. A very good example is Microsoft.
Yeah.
Bill Gates has to start off somewhere.
Yep, we all have to start off somewhere, right? Exactly. That's a very good point. Yep. So it's not like you just jump into a business and all of a sudden it's successful and you're making lots of money. It takes work, it takes dedication, and it grows over time. Yeah.
And it takes a lot of drive and a lot of change
Yeah.
to be, and a lot of confidence to make.
Yeah. Yep. Little by little.
Too.
Yep. All right. So then, kind of like you were saying, expanded work opportunities. Sometimes, people can only maybe find or want to work part-time for an employer, but then they want to make more money and have more to do. So they start a side business, and it's okay to have both. So sometimes, people do self-employment because it can kind of round out their week, right? Availability of supports. And so again, like I said, sometimes people may not have job coaching supports available to them, and they're looking more to family and friends to support them. And so they may, want to start a business because it's easier to get support that way than it is for someone to go on to a job site, right? And provide that support. And then this last one is interesting and many people don't know about, but it's an opportunity for people with disabilities to accumulate wealth. So there are rules that Social Security and public benefits have that allow people to build, assets or wealth within their business. And because you need money to operate a business, right? And you can actually have a business account that accumulates money beyond what the SSI, Social Security rules are, Medicaid rules. So because you need money to operate your business. And so there, and with business, sometimes, people buy assets. They may buy a vehicle or a bus in Felicia's case, and that's wealth. That's people, owning and having money that they might not otherwise have. But you have to have a real business structure and a real business going on, not just a hobby, to make that happen. So there are some rules with that, right? All right. So I like this quote. It's from the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Disability Employment Policy. So this was on their website. I'm not sure I don't know if it's still on their website, but they have some resources and information about self-employment for people with disabilities. And they have a quote that says, the type of business a person with a disability can operate is limited only by imagination. When I first started working on self-employment with people with disabilities, I would often get the question, well, what types of businesses can a person with a disability start? Kind of like that same question is like, what kind of jobs, you know what I mean, could a person with a disability have? And it's limitless, right? There's no stereotype. You heard in this room, there's lots of different types of businesses or business ideas. So there's no limit. So whatever you can imagine up, and if you can make it work and make it profitable in your community, that's self-employment, right? But some of the examples, like we heard in this room, and then some of the people that I've worked with over the years, like food and snack delivery, dog treat bakery, gift baskets, outsourced clerical work, musicians I've worked with, artists and crafters. I've worked with someone who had a dog waste pickup business. Dog sitting and dog walking, media conversion. So that means like taking people's old DVDs, right, and putting them into video files, or like scanning their photos into digital formats.
Editing.
Yeah, and photo editing, small volume shredding, errand running and courier services, button making, sewing and alterations, recycling, lawn care, vending, lots of ways to sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, all of that, and so many more things, right? So it runs the gamut, big range of different types of businesses. This is a fun video of a guy named Tim, who, with the help of his family, started a restaurant. So I'm hoping this will play. And now, oh yeah, I have to X out. That's right. And go to the browser. Let's expand this first. And my screen play. Okay.
About 5:30, get the shower, do my morning routine, go around 7 o'clock to come to work. I am so excited to go to work, so I do a dance off in the parking lot. It's a dance of magic. We serve breakfast, lunch, and hugs. The hugs are the best part. I am Tim Harris, and this is my place. Oh yeah. Hey guys, welcome to my place. How are you doing today?
For you.
Oh. Those are the best part, buddy. I love you. Have you been here before?
I've never been here before.
Well, I'm Tim. I'm the owner. Tim's place is the special place to be at because it's run and operated by me. You guys are doing a great job out here. I love you guys. You guys are the best cooks ever. Since I was a kid, I wanted to own a restaurant, and I asked my dad to help me out. I'm very glad I did. Thank you, Dad. I love you so much.
Love you too, buddy.
Very proud of you.
He was about 14 years old. He told us that someday he was going to own a restaurant. After we all gulped and gasped, we began to take him seriously, and the result is history in the making.
They support me so I can live out my dreams.
I'm amazingly proud of my brother. Just what he's accomplished in his lifetime. I mean, people can only dream, you know?
I love you all.
As far as we know, we have not yet found another person with Down syndrome in this country that owns their own restaurant. That other people will though.
My favorite part of all is the people coming through that front door. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Sometimes customers get sad. I give them a hug and then they feel a lot better. Thank you, Tim. The hugs are way more important than the food. The food is food, so. A double hug. Yep, double hug. Love you guys. I am a mean hugging machine. Oh yeah.
So let me get this straight. So
Yeah.
you're a restaurateur
Yes.
and
A Special Olympic
Special
athlete.
Olympic athlete, and you've won
Yes.
the gold medal.
I have won more medals than Michael Phelps. Yeah. Yeah. I did not let my disability crush the dreams. With people with disabilities, they can do anything they set their minds to. They're special. We are a gift to the world.
Great video. I was torn between showing that one and another one that's a gal named Emmy who owns a coffee shop. So I don't actually. I didn't work with him, but I wanted to show that video. Yeah. Good question. I bet it says in the. We should look in the. Let's see if it looks. Oh, there you go. So.
Like 2 years ago in Albuquerque, you know?
Oh yeah, you could have stopped in.
Closed in December of 2015, according to.
Oh, it's an old one. Okay, well, all right, oldie but a goodie. I mean, regardless, you know, and that's the thing is, you know, yeah, nothing lasts forever. And just because you start a business doesn't mean you're strapped to it for your entire life, right? You can, you know, change your career. You can decide self-employment's not for you. You can, you know, change what you do for self-employment. It's just as flexible as, you know, getting a job. I mean, obviously you have to think about what you've invested and whether or not you want to give that up. But I know people who have actually sold their businesses to other people too. Again, it's an asset once you grow it. I bet Tim made some money on his restaurant selling it, right? Yeah. Oh, permanently closed. Oh, right. So yeah, he might have earned, well, or sold off the equipment and all that and got his money back. You know what I mean? Through that. So yeah, permanently closed. Yeah. Thank you. But one thing we have to understand is that there is a difference between a hobby and a business, and it's okay to have a hobby. And this is, you know, particularly important for people who are artists to consider, okay? Because they're artists and crafters who start doing something and, you know, they start to make a little bit of money. And then, you know, they think, well, you know, maybe I should turn this into a business. But we really have to evaluate or think about what, you know, if you have a profit motive, if how you are structuring your arts and craft business or whatever you might be doing as a hobby to actually make enough money to be considered a business, right? So some of the things, the differences between a hobby and a business is, you know, this profit motive, like I said. So that means looking at the costs of what it takes to produce what you're doing and the time that it takes you to produce that, and then what you charge. And if you're, you know, not concerned about charging enough to cover your costs, right, of time and materials, then it may not be a business, right? So if it takes me an hour to make something, and that, you know, will say I want, you know, $20, $25, whatever you feel your time is worth. It could be $100, right? And it costs me another, you know, $10 in materials to make what I made. I need to be charging $110 for what I'm selling. And if it can't sell for that, right? If it can't have that kind of profit for, then it may not be considered, something that could be considered a business, right? So we have to really look at what kind of profit you can make. Do you have I'll explain that in just a minute. Yeah. So right. So I was just going to move on to that. So that's where the IRS and Social Security, if you're making money, selling something or doing something, if you are making more than $400 after all of your expenses, right? So after your materials, it doesn't have to be your time though, but your materials and say maybe your mileage driving around, or, maybe you rent something to make what you are making, or whatever it might be, right? If you make $400 after your expenses, that's when Social Security and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, starts to say you're generating enough money where you should be kind of filing taxes and treating yourself as a business. Okay. So just keep that in mind, in terms of if you're starting to make some money on what you're doing and you think that there's enough profit in there where you're actually making 400 net, they call that net income, net profit, net income. Yeah.
If you get to that point or past it, will they say, well, then you don't need Social Security?
No.
Or
And we'll talk about the importance of having a work incentive benefits counseling. Yeah, no, you have the ability to make a whole lot more money from your business than $400, a whole lot more. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of paperwork, but the state was really strict because you had to really do what they told you to do. And
Yeah.
I've listened to them. They haven't, so I can't sell my crops and then, just because I'm tax exempt, I still have to go through the government.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that you might need to learn, and there's resources, right? So I don't want to scare you off by starting to talk about the IRS and Social Security yet. We'll talk about some of the things that you need to, if you're really serious about starting a business or growing your business, you're going to need to build a business team. Okay. So I'll talk about that next, right? Because you don't have to know all this alone. There's, when I started my business, like I needed to call the Small Business Development Center. I needed to call and talk to, people who are already in business to say, how do I do this? I also needed to, because I hate taxes, right? Math is not my thing, and figuring out taxes. So I had to make enough money to hire a tax person to help me, right? So that's okay, and I can write that off as a business expense. So the other differences between a hobby and a business is, whether or not you are out there marketing. You're trying to sell. So you have business cards and flyers. You really try to encourage people to refer people to you, right? So that means you are trying to make a profit. You're trying to make those sales, and you have, marketing activities going on. And you're also tracking like how, you're keeping your receipts for when you buy stuff, and you're tracking how much money you're spending and how much money you're bringing in. Okay. So, because you need to do that to be self-employed, you need to have what's called bookkeeping stuff in place, right? Neely?
I just had
Yeah.
have a lot of money. Do you still make money for your business?
If you have a lot of money, can you still make money? What do you mean by have a lot of money?
Like as a benefit?
Yes. You will want to work with what's called a work incentive benefits specialist. They should be on your business team. So we will talk about that, a benefits counselor. How many of you have had work incentive benefits counseling services before? Okay. Felicia, do you want to describe what that was for you?
And they write down how much you can do, and how much you can take in before you can get cut off sometimes, so.
Yeah. So they see what kind of public benefits you get, what kind of earnings you want to make, and they will give you a plain language guide in how to make sure that you keep the benefits you need and you can, operate your business or get a job or whatever you want to do or do both, right? So, because while there are some benefits that have like, pretty hard and fast rules, like you make this much and you're off, most benefits have what's called work incentives that allow people to earn money, a pretty decent amount of money and keep their benefits at the same time. So, okay. So, and then the another difference between a hobby and a business is generally if people, we're self-employed and we want to own a business, we generally try to work at it pretty consistently, right? But I have known some people who are very inconsistent. They don't, make their arts and crafts very frequently. Maybe they only sell twice a year, right? And they kind of work on it on the side and they save it all for coming to the self-determination conference, or they save it all for going to the Employment First conference. And they do that like twice a year and that's it. They may not be making enough money, you know what I mean, doing that twice a year, given all of their expenses and all of that. And it's pretty inconsistent. So it may not be considered, it may be more of a hobby for them, right? So just some things to consider about the differences between a hobby and a business. And it is okay to have a hobby if you're an artist or a crafter and sell some things and make a little bit of money on it, right? All right. So like I mentioned this before, so the first step, if you want to start your business or grow your current business that you're working on, you need to create a business planning team around you because you need people who will help you think through some decisions as well as find the resources and understand, how to put all that together. So this could be some trusted family members or friends. Maybe you have a teacher in your life or a former teacher, a case manager you might want to involve. Maybe you're involved with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. They may be part of your team. You'll want a benefits specialist. Maybe you're working with an employment service provider. And then maybe you also want to think, who is in my circle that owns a business already? So, maybe my uncle owns a business, maybe it's a friend of mine who has started a business a few years ago. You should bring them onto your business planning team, to help guide you through the process because it isn't that easy. While it's not terribly hard, it's also not, just something that's like materializes, right? Just like getting a job isn't always easy, right? And you might need some guidance for that. You're going to need some guidance for starting a business. Yeah.
You need all of those or
Just some pick and choose. Yep. You start building your team. So then once you built your team, the next step of starting a business is doing what's called business feasibility. So what that means is we need to find out, or you'll need to find out, if your business actually has customers and can make you a profit. So this requires doing some research, researching similar businesses and starting to look at where do they sell, who do they sell to, how much are they charging? And so this can be done by, doing some internet searching. There are some books, at the library about starting different types of businesses that would help to, people to, understand what to do. For instance, I remember years ago when I was working with some artists and crafters, there was this great book called Handmade for a Profit. And it walked you right through, like, how do you price your stuff? What do you consider? All of this kind of stuff. So there's lots of books out there. It could also be talking to other business owners. So, and if you're worried about like, I'm going to be competing with the same kind of business, find a business that's in a different community. and give them a call. Most businesses love, business owners love to talk about what they're doing. So really think about who's in your network, who's self-employed, who can, help inform you about businesses, and start doing some research to, in what self-employment is, what it takes, what the resources are, all of that kind of stuff, but especially the similar businesses, so you can learn about how you might have to price your stuff or sell your stuff. So find ways to experience the business. So I've met people who have never, like, they have a business idea, but they've never had hands-on experience with that type of thing. Like, say for instance, small engine repair. Maybe if you had never repaired or worked for Ace, you know what I mean? And you came up to me and you said, I think I want to do small engine repair because my dad does it, but I've never really done it. Or, someone, I've seen it done. I would want to, first, take you on a tour somewhere where they do that, right? Maybe let's see if you can tinker with a small engine. Maybe there's a small engine class you could take. You know what I mean? Like, you'd want to get some sort of experience with it. So that that it's like what you want to do, and maybe being in that type of environment. So maybe you heard from a friend that selling at the SD conference is really awesome. Well, then you might want to attend and sit with your friend and see what that's like. See if you could deal with the environment and, the people and all of that kind of stuff. So you'd want to really try to figure out ways to see how it feels for you and learn more about it. You'd want to make sure that you're making informed decisions. So anytime you have a question, make sure that you're trying to do some research, trying to talk to people so that you can make your own informed decision. And then, definitely consider the supports that you're going to need to do the business. Every business owner, no matter what their ability, needs business supports. Like I said, I need a bookkeeper. I have a CPA who takes care of all of my taxes because I screwed it up massively and was like going to get myself in trouble when I first started my business. So I rely on that person to really help me out. So you may need something similar, or you may need someone to help you with transportation. So think about the types of supports you might need. Yeah.
Keep on saying your business. What is your business?
I have a consulting business. Yes, I do, training and consulting on projects and train organizations on different things. Yeah, staff. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. It's an LLC. Yep.
Oh, I trust guys.
Yeah.
I'm saying my business.
Yep. No, that's great. And I used to, my husband, now ex-husband and I, we used to own a landscaping business too.
Oh.
So. Some of the feasibility strategies I already mentioned, things that you can do, talking to similar businesses, researching, setting up those trial situations, selling some of your products and getting some feedback, making, like, I worked with a dog treat business, right? And they, needed to make some of their recipes and sell them, or feed them to dogs, right? And see if they'd actually eat them or not, right? So you don't want to do all this and then find out that no one's going to buy your product because the dogs don't like it. So you want to try to get some feedback on what you want to sell or what you want to do. I also know someone, for instance, who wanted to start a cleaning business and a resident, just in people's homes. And some of the people who support her in her life were like, but your apartment's not clean. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna, and, so they didn't believe in her. And I said, let's set up a trial situation. So who do you know that you can go in and clean their house, maybe, ask them for money or not, who's in your network, and just see how it goes and what kind of supports you might need if you feel like you like doing that. And she did. She found a few friends and family, went in, cleaned their house, got some feedback, and it was fabulous. She loved it. She did a great job. She cleaned fast enough that she could make knew she could make money with what she needed to charge. And her team was like, well, okay. you know, so I don't know if sometimes people like to clean, you know, the other houses instead of their own, right? Just no fun to have to clean up after yourself. So, and that's where you know, you would want to track time and cost. So what she had to do was say, can I clean someone else's house in a reasonable enough time? So that because I had looked at other cleaning companies and they charge this much, you know, to clean this kind of size of a house. So given how much time it takes me, can I charge that much? Will I be competitive? Will I make? Because, you know, if it took her 3 times longer than her, you know what I mean, then she might not make good money doing that. It might not be worth her time and investment. So yeah, so that's the feasibility part. And there's things online, there's people who can guide you through how to do this. And that's where putting together that team is really important. Then after you know, like I think this is going to work. This seems like a good idea. I like it. I've tried it. It seems like I can make some money. Then you would want to build a simple business plan. So sometimes people think that business plans are like super duper long and they have to be really, really detailed. They don't. But, you know, there are definitely a few pages, right? Or more, you know, depending on how much you write or whatnot. But they could be bullet points and major ideas, you know, and just kind of like your plan, right? So it really helps you to organize information, think about, you know, how you're going to operate your business, the road ahead, how you might need support, you know, like for bookkeeping or for transportation or whatever it might be. And it's proof that, you know, you've thought about this business enough that you know what I mean? You've made that informed decision. And it really just spells out how you're going to try to make profit with your business. So the parts of a business plan is a description of your product and service or service. So if you make paintings, you'd want to describe them, you know, kind of and what they're about and the size of your paintings and all of that kind of stuff. If you do small engine repair, you'd want to describe that. So you describe your product or service. Then you talk about your operations. So that means imagine a day in the life of your business. How will it operate? How will you talk to your customers? How will you, you know, sell your product? How will you charge for it? What's the money exchange, right? And then, so you think about imagine a day in a life, and you should be able to imagine this because hopefully you've like talked to or seen other businesses do that kind of thing, right? So you can imagine that. And then you also imagine a week in your life or a month or in your business, a month in your business and a year. So you think about, okay, at the end of the month, I'm going to have to maybe invoice people or take care of my taxes or do my bookkeeping. Okay. Or I'm going to have to go out and buy my supplies again. So we think about, you know what I mean, the different types of supports or activities that might need to happen. And then at the end of every year, you're going to have to do taxes and all of that. So we think about those supports, right? You have a question?
So could you make changes to the business plan, like throughout? So it's like
Yeah.
the simple business plan is more of like a rough draft.
Yep, absolutely. It could be a living document if you want it to
Yeah,
be.
because I know with businesses, they change on the fly.
Yeah.
Change daily.
Or you might want to like maybe have new goals for your business, right? Like you want to grow it. So you might need to kind of revisit your business plan, right? And then your marketing plan. So are you going to have business cards? How are you going to advertise? You know, are you going to do promotional things where you do buy one, get one frees or whatnot? How are people going to find out about you? Are you going to have a website? Yeah.
Say, the best marketing, you can go to Vistaprint, you get magnets for your
Mhm.
car. They're like $130. I've had mine for 4 years. Now people see my car, they're like, it's a Mama-mobile.
Awesome.
It's literally the best if you drive, get car magnets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine are like a joke. I don't even have any information on there because I was making a joke. Oh,
I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to think about what kind of advertising makes sense for you and your business, right? It could be a website, could be car, you know, magnets, could be giving out business cards. And there's lots of stuff online as well as books at the library and experts out there who know about marketing. So there's all kinds of tips and tricks. And then there's a financial plan you'll want to put together. So that's where you have to write down all the different costs that you have. It's kind of like your household budget, right? But for your business. So you have to write down all of your costs, what you might be able to do in sales, right? And then you would kind of look at, okay, now if my goal was to double my, customers, right? How much more would my costs go up and my sales go up? So you work on a financial plan, a budget for your business. So there are some really great resources. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with all of this because you want to start your business, it's okay. There are people out there who can help. I mean, self-employment is pretty common. There's lots of people out in the world who are self-employed, and they all needed to start somewhere and get in touch with someone. So, in terms of community resources, we have online, or there's a call-in number. You can talk to a business specialist at the Small Business Development Center. They are really great. When I first started with self-employment, I called them all the time. And then SCORE, which is Service Corps of Retired Executives. So these are all former business people who will give business advice to other people. So they're volunteers in the community that, just kind of wanna share what they do. Anybody, I know this is kind of off topic. Anyone watch that movie or that series called The Bear? Remember, he was meeting with a retired gentleman that helped to guide the business. That was an example of a SCORE person, okay? And then Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. So they don't, while they're definitely geared towards women, they will answer any, business questions. So they're great. And they offer different classes, both, for people to take. And then local technical colleges sometimes have, business resource people too. So, if you're up north and people at Northwoods College or something like that, I would ask, who is your business teacher, and see if you can talk to them. Yeah.
A lot of local colleges
Yeah.
also have like local business, like people who are trying to look for jobs and that stuff.
Yeah.
Going to one of those, like one of those things, like I want to try and start, like, as a good way to market it.
Yeah.
If you're especially in a college town, I know UW La Crosse has one every semester, fall and spring.
Yeah.
They have a job expo is kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good resource for that. I don't know if it's like local, but it's a good place to go.
Yeah, Job Expo. Yep, for sure. Another, I was just thinking, oh, it just flew out of my head. Anyway, maybe it'll come back to me. Oh, local libraries. Sometimes, yes, thank you. Sometimes we'll have, how to start a business, just like they do some financial literacy stuff, all of that. So you could always ask your librarian what the resources are in your community. Librarians are awesome, by the way. Go to your local librarian. They know they know so much. Yeah.
Just two things. So there's a comedian named Maria Bamford who practices open book accounting.
Okay.
Where you make and NPR did a whole bit on her.
Okay.
Open book accounting, letting people know exactly what your expenses are. So I like that fresh take.
Okay. Okay.
So people can see, yeah, it's taking me an hour to make this.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But also, I accidentally got swept into this group. It was like a sorority. The woman running it was part of an MLM. And it was.
Oh, multi-level marketing company. Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
You bring up a good point. So there is sometimes bad information or not so great, you know what I mean? People who are just trying to scam or make a buck off of other people out there. I mean, we have to be careful of that no matter what we do, right?
Like, doing your picture and then doing your story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what artists typically do that about the artist or kind of their artist story. Absolutely. Yeah, and most businesses you'll go on and they'll say about us, right? Because people want to have a connection with the businesses that they, buy from. Right, right. Yeah, Felicia.
With me, because I'm a tour operator, I have did, back to what you talked about in business research. There are some that I have reached out to and they don't want to talk to me
Right. Yeah.
because they think that you're stealing the clients or stealing their secrets. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to do blind faith with this.
Yeah, and that's where like I've even looked at out of states, looking out of state to talk to a business. So if I found that people in the area didn't want to talk, I mean, I remember talking to a business owner in Florida, that had a similar kind of business for someone I was working with. So, and they were very willing to talk to me. So, look on the internet and see if you can, connect. Yeah.
Are you a good resource?
I am a good resource, so you can, I'm happy, yes, I am. I'm happy to help connect you to information and resources for sure. Yeah, you have my email. And I think it's at the end of this presentation too, so. And then there are services and help within the disability side of things that you're gonna wanna be connecting with. So the Wisconsin Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, if you want to start a business, it is a vocational goal. If you have a business idea and you want to start a business, you can apply for vocational rehabilitation services and, request help from them to support your business. I will say that, DVR, okay, Wisconsin Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, self-employment is something that they don't do as often as they do helping people get jobs. So sometimes counselors may have not know how to work with you, but they do have a newer staff person now with DVR who knows self-employment, who's supposed to be a resource to counselors internally. So it is possible. I want to put that out there, but it may be a little rocky, just because it's something that DVR doesn't do a lot. But they do have guides and policies, and they can get people in touch with services, to help with business planning.
I see I'm selling crosses and make them, good hobby.
Uh-huh.
Then I keep talking about my mom, like, just let them go. I need to not talk so much because I think I turn my people away.
You gotta get them talking. That's right from jail.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good, yeah. What is that from, what's the book called? The Carnegie book? How to Make Friends and Influence People? Yep. Yep.
Can a hobby turn into a business?
Yes, it absolutely can. Yep. But you have to have that profit motive. You have to kind of, start trying to, make it go. You might have to raise your prices, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I have a place in Gilman or wherever you live to actually start the business. What are some best options for like having a place to run it and do it, having your own area?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So, especially if you live in specialized housing, you may not be able to operate a business out of your apartment. So there's like with Section 8 rules or, different types of public housing. There are business incubators in communities that you can rent a small, it's like a collective space where people, who are just starting businesses also they operate out of there. Same with like kitchens, for instance. I have a cousin who has a side micro enterprise making Bloody Mary seasoning. And so she doesn't operate it out of her home. She goes and rents, there's a timeshare kitchen in Madison where she pays like $100 a month to go in because she needs a commercial kitchen. She can't do it out of her apartment or her house, I mean. So she has to rent time at this kitchen and she has to do it all there. So it's legal because it requires food permitting and all that kind of stuff. So that's an example. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to actually operate of. Cause so the stuff that it's hard.
Yeah.
That I can actually operate out of.
Find out who's in your, yeah, who's in your community, who do you know, who has space? Did any of you know Adam Nodstad, Adam Can Recycling? Well, he owned a can recycling business, and he was he lived in Stoughton, and he had a space in the Stoughton City County building, like the maintenance building or whatever it was, town building. So and that was through connections with his family, found that, and they were willing to have him come in and operate his business out of there.
Resources like that for buildings and stuff for certain situations.
I think that you should, right, so you would want to find out who's in your network, right? And then also look at where your business incubators are in your town too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in that.
You can, oh, yeah.
Is LLC only businesses, or do you have to have one for a hobby?
No, you do not form a business structure around a hobby.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And then let's see. So there are certain Social Security work incentives that could be helpful for self-employment that you'd want to learn about. And this you should talk to a work incentive benefits counselor for. I have a whole slide on getting in touch with a work incentive benefits counselor. Because there are ways that, that you can save money for your business and, using your benefits. Long-term care supports for ongoing business support. So just like people have job coaches at jobs if they need help, it is possible to have a job coach, supporting you for some of your business activities. So go back to bookkeeping. So say, for instance, you're not good with math, but you need to be able to log your receipts and your whatever people have been paying you. A job coach can support you to do that. They can't do it for you, right? But they can support you and provide assistance and guidance for you to do that. And same with maybe you are, even with your business tasks to make or sell what so that woman who was doing cleaning, if she needed some job coach support to learn how to clean better, she could utilize that, right? So, and then another really great website to check out, and they have classes and meetups, training, called the National Disability Institute, their small business hub. So check that out. Just Google it, National Disability Institute, Small Business Hub. So this is where you can meet up with other entrepreneurs, business owners, where you can take online classes. They have, you can call in for technical assistance, that kind of thing. All right, so here's the stuff about work incentive benefits counseling. So you're going to want to work with a work incentive benefits counselor when you're considering, a business and starting that. When you're developing your business plan and goals so that they can guide you through, learning about the impact of, earning self-employment money will have on your public benefits. And when you start to establish your bookkeeping systems for your business, you may want to talk to them again because there are different, so if you receive SSI, bookkeeping can be on a cash basis, they say. And then if you receive SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance only, and not SSI, then you need to use accrual basis. So it's, there's some little bits of things here that you have to learn about your benefits. And then if you plan to grow or change your business, you're going to want to talk to a work incentive benefits counselor. And so how you get in touch with one of those is if you're working with Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, you can say, I want some benefits counseling. I want to add that to my plan, to your DVR counselor. If you are in family care or IRIS, you can ask your IRIS case manager or IRIS consultant or your family care case manager about work incentive benefits counseling and help you, make that part of your plan with them. Or there's another source called the Work Incentive Planning and Assistance Program, WIPA, WIPA. And that is for people who don't have those other resources, they can call the WIPA program. So if you were to Google, Work Incentive Planning Assistance Wisconsin, you will come up with the ERI website, Employment Resources, Inc., and their WIPA page, and there's an 800 number to call. All right, Jason, we want to hear about your experiences.
All right. Well, my wife and I, she's more of the crafted person. I'm more a doer. But I always liked doing woodwork ever since I was in high school. And I've made some really cool things. I think the best thing I ever made was a clock that was made out of a big piece of wood shaped into the state of Wisconsin. And I did like a resin over the board so that it wouldn't warp, and it really turned out great. My cousin that I made it for 30 years, over almost 40 years now, she still has it, so it's really cool. But we're more on the hobby tech business. We only do 3 or 4 things a year. And yeah, it's every year is the self-determination. And we have a couple of local craft fairs that we go to. Otherwise, we're kind of a laid back. If there's something that really fits fits with us, we'll go. If we have things to sell, not only woodworking stuff, we also do have a 3D printer, and I heard someone has or is trying to start up a business with 3D stuff, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of figuring out different patterns and all that. So I encourage you to talk to somebody that has already done such a business with that. And the challenges that we have right now is affordability. A lot of our things, especially the woodworking, prices of wood have really skyrocketed. I'll give you an instance. I wanted to pay, or I went to Menards, and I was going to get some of the same kind of wood that I've always used, and it was twice as much as it was before the last administration came in. And so I chose a different, a downgraded version of that. And I had to work 3 times harder to make things work than I usually do. So I've gone back to the best wood that I like to use, and we just had to charge a little more because of that. And getting from Julie, over the last day, she's we're doing pretty good. So that's great. We like being self-employed. We're our own boss. We can do things when we want to do them and how we do them. And no one tells us that we can't do something. I guess what I would advocate or any kind of advice I would give you is to really, really think hard on what you want to do. What do you want to make? Or are you going to work with a different person to do your work and you're just going to sell it? Really think before you do this. Is it going to be just a hobby, like Shannon said, or do you want to make a lot of money and you're going to have to go the other business route? So again, like I said, we do it as a hobby, and if someone wants us to make something throughout the year, we certainly can do that. I always got a lot of different kind of wood if I want to do a string art or something else made out of wood. So that's my 2 cents.
Does anyone have any questions for Jason about his business? Yeah, let's,
Printing, how often do you use the 3D printer?
can you hear Jason? He asked, how often do you use 3D printer?
We use it quite often. Probably 10 months out of the year. We usually take November and December off unless because we're doing those. We're doing the SD conference. We're doing a couple of shows. So we usually don't make anything at that point unless we really have sold out of that item that is really going hot. And so then we make more, but I would say at least 10 months out of the year.
He has one follow-up question too.
What kind of printer do you use?
What kind of printer do you use?
It's a Cobra 3D printer. It's on the low end of the quality. We didn't want to put a whole lot into a 3D printer if we weren't going to make a big business. I know a gal that she has a great business, and she's got 10 3D printers that are going almost 24/7,
There you go.
365 days a year.
We have another question.
They sound expect privacy. Just 2 questions. How long have you been in business, and if you're willing to share your profit?
How long have you been in business and are you willing to share your profit? But she wants to respect your privacy too.
Can you say that again, Shannon?
First question was, how long have you been in business?
We've been in business for about 6-7 years, and we just do it for fun.
And then are you willing to share what kind of profits you make?
Not at this time. What we usually do is donate something. If it's going to be an auction for something that is really near and dear to our heart.
Yeah. Thank you. So we are, I guess it's already noon, so we're not going to have time for our little brainstorming activity. So I apologize, but all great questions. If you have any more, just let me know. And then please fill out your surveys that you were given at the beginning of the session. Appreciate your time, and I hope that this was helpful in giving you some ideas for starting or growing your business.